couple of months after we had the first girl that I was pregnant with the second, which was about 2 months or 2 and 3 months after I had just had the first. And in that moment, it was like, oh, how am I going to do this with two? And so it means something was like, okay, it's time to go into survival mode.
That's right.
And so it was just about getting through the day. If we can survive today, we can go to the next day. And it was all about survival. And then we had our second girl, Awajua. Awajua comes, and then bam, 6 months later, here comes another baby. And I'm like, okay, God, now you know that this is a lot for me. Yeah. There's no handbook. I am just winging this thing by day. And we just began to just go through survival. And Sam is, he works outside the home. So it's just left with me and all these babies. Really being with them throughout the day and trying to get these. And I'm telling you, I was in survival mode. And with survival mode, you don't process anything. You're just trying to make it feed, take a bath, clean, get up, read a book, check. Okay, bedtime, check. Okay, did you eat? Check. Oh, you have your shots and your appointments? Check. And we're just going through the emotions of parenting. And then a year and so later after that, I was pregnant again. And I was like, okay, this has to be a boy because it's 3 girls. I don't think you're going to give me 4 girls. And so this is going to be a boy. And I remember coming home, finding out that this was a girl. And I was like, God, how am I going to do this? 4 girls. And then I remember in that moment, the Holy Spirit quickly told me that you are going to be a mother of women and you can do it. And then that burst of confidence came back. But I had looked at how far we had come. We had all been in survival mode. And I began to really pay attention to the way I was parenting. And I'm just like, okay, I'm about to have a 4th girl. I can't do this thing every day because I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I had no room. I had personal issues that I was dealing with. I had personal responsibilities that I had to get through. And I'm having one more girl on top of that. And I was like, Lord, I need grace.
That's right.
And from that moment on, when the Holy Spirit reminded me that I could do this, it changed the way I parented. I didn't have a handbook, but I had curiosity and intentionality. And from there, I started to look at other women near me who I could tell they were intentional about their parenting and begin to glean from them and try to adopt a lot of things into it and then Sam and I started really getting into grace-filled parenting. And so we realized that it required us to have a totally different approach to the parenting, because when we looked at everything we were doing, it was not yielding the results that we wanted.
That's right.
And I remember when we were speaking about Andy Stanley, who is someone that we follow his ministry and love, but he made a comment about parenting that totally shifted how we saw parenting. He said that we have to parent in a way that when our children leave and they go to college and they live their lives, that they actually want to come back home. That they actually want to come on holidays with us, that they actually they enjoy our presence, they enjoy who we are, that they want our advice. And it's not out of, I just have to have my mom, but I want to be around my mom. I want to be around my parents. I want to be around my parents.
That's right.
And then I was looking at how I was parenting these young girls, and I'm like, I don't think they're gonna come back. I don't think they're gonna come back home. But then that's where grace-filled parenting began.
That's right.
And it required, our new win was no longer just get them to go to school. Get them taken care of for the day, go to college, be a doctor, be a nurse, be whatever it is, get married, have children. That was no longer our win. Our win was that we would build young women to follow the path that God had for them. And that at the end of it, our win is that they want to come back home.
That's right.
To us. They want to see us. They want to be a part of our lives. They want us to be a part of their lives, which required us to focus on connection. And so for the last couple of years, I've had to rebuild connection with my children. But in order to do that, I had to go back into my past. I had to go back to the things that I had learned. I had to go back into why I was doing what I was doing. And on top of that, I was exhausted, and I was overwhelmed, and I was tired. And some of you may be, probably your story is similar, may not be similar to mine, but we get into a space where we're just trying to survive. And when we are trying to survive, we don't have time to process how our actions are affecting our children. We don't have time to process that, the words that I'm using, it's going to have a long-term effect on my child. I am just using the tools that I have. I have no handbook. All I have is what I was built with. And I came out pretty good by the grace of God. So I'm sure they're going to be pretty good by the grace of God as well. And that is how we raise our children. And we get frustrated. We find that it's hard to raise a child. We find out, we hear about graceful parenting, and we're like, we have to actually connect to the children. We already feed them. We already take care of everything that they need. And now we have to connect to them. But how do we do that? How do we get from a place of parenting to grace-filled parenting? How do we get to that place? How do we become parents who can parent well?
That's right.
Especially if we were not raised that way. We don't understand a lot of the new way of parenting. How do we stop spanking when we're angry? How do we stop yelling when we have to keep repeating ourselves over and over and over again? How do we pour into our children when we are drained? How do we do that? How do we become parents that don't parent out of fear? We've seen how people have parented their children and it's ended up. How do I avoid that with my child? How do I parent my child and trust that they're going to be okay? How do I be confident as a parent? How do I become confident? What does grace-filled parenting even look like?
That's right.
And how can I enjoy parenting at the same time? And some of you might say, I'm doing this all by myself. How can I make sure that I can do this on my own? How do I make sure I can do this on my own? And tonight, God is doing a new thing in us.
Yes, Lord.
And He is saying to you, you got it. You can do it.
You got it.
You can do it. You can do it. You are a grace-filled parent.
You are a grace-filled parent. That's right.
You are a grace-filled parent, and you can do it.